voters over 65 years of age in Canada still have a higher turnout at the polls than any other age group, so they are a force. The number of Canadian seniors is now at record levels and growing as people live longer. Rick Baker is the president of the Ottawa chapter of CARP, a national association which advocates for Canadians over the age of 45. Mr. Baker, good to see you again. Thanks for coming in to speak with you.
Thank you.
Good to see you. The Liberals promised to make life more affordable for Canadian seniors over the last 4 years. Let's start there. How successful have they been?
Well, I think they've done a lot of really good work. And one of the things that's really, as part of our template and mandate, is to ensure that Canadians and seniors specifically are taken well care for. One of the major things that we advocated very strongly for was to have a Minister of Seniors. So we had somebody right at the cabinet table.
Right. You got that?
We got that. So Minister Tossey's been really good. She's worked very closely with us in terms of advocating for some of the issues that are really important to seniors across the board. So that was a really good step. I think there's a lot of other areas that still need some grooming.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's what we're going to hear a lot about during an election campaign, and what parties are prepared to do for different voting groups and to address some of their concerns. So let's start with what more you think needs to be done to make life more affordable for seniors, because that's what we're talking about here, is affordability issues, and for seniors that's a big issue. Oh,
for sure. And this is going to be the first release of information shared with you today. We just completed a major survey of about 3,700 members across Canada on pension planning, pension reform. So I'm going to share some interesting statistics with you that I think will certainly spur the interest.
What are your members saying?
Well, the first question, do you agree or disagree the government elected should take steps to protect pensions? 84% agree that they should be protecting. And we've heard about the horror stories about some of the companies going bankrupt and people being left without any pensions. That's just not acceptable. So we've advocated very strongly for that, and we've made some great headway. There's a Members Act that's going through right now to make sure that people, when they're in a situation where they potentially could lose their pensions, will be protected. So that's really, really important for us.
All right. Income security, big issue for seniors. We've seen studies that suggest that most seniors could actually outlive their savings. What more do you want from a federal government on that front?
Well, I think the first one is our people are really concerned that they have enough money to make it to the end of their life. We know about 80-some-odd% are very, very concerned based on the incomes that they have right now. So that needs to be protected. There are a number of objects that we're looking at in terms of trying to advocate for more money staying in the pockets of people. For example, with RIFs. A lot of people that have the benefit of having a RIF have to start utilizing some of it by the time they're 71. So we're advocating to make sure that maybe they would not have to use it by 71. Let's save that money for a later date purpose.
One of the key priorities of your organization's been and has been for a number of years, is an actual senior strategy in this country. What would that include? What do you need to see?
Well, there's so many areas that are impacting on seniors, and I'll share a few of them because they relate to our template, our platform. I don't know if you've seen this book. It's called The Faces of Canada's Seniors. There's some really good information there, and obviously the first one's financial security. We want people to be able to have and afford the programs and services that they've had all along their life. Abuse protection is another huge one. You've heard about the Wetlaufer case that's been really raising a lot of ire with people.
This is the nurse that killed a number of senior
we want to make sure that there's
homes.
Good policies and protection mechanisms in place to protect people. Caregiving and housing support. It's amazing the number of people that are providing caregiving services right now and receive really little benefit. We're advocating with the government that maybe these people could get some reduction in terms of some of their taxes or other levels of income.
There's often family members who look after elderly family members. And
I'm personally going through that myself right now with siblings, and it's really a tough go, to make sure that they've got good, adequate, and affordable care. Exceptional
healthcare is a big one.
Healthcare. It's always the number one issue that people are going to make it through their life and have the choices and have the right type of services and care that can be people can afford to live with it.
So let me ask you, what do you want seniors to consider then? I mean, this is a big voting group, usually the biggest voting group, and they all turn out, right? 97%
Oh, I'm glad you brought that
of
up.
seniors
because,
vote. So
yeah.
what do you want them to consider when they're voting? And what have you heard from parties so far?
Well, we've heard a lot. I've actually had the opportunity to meet with a lot of different parties so far, and we're going to be doing a lot more of it as we get closer to the election writ. People want, obviously, good health care. They want to be able to afford the services and programs that they've had before and will continue to get. Housing is really, really important. A lot of people want to stay in their house, in their home, until they're no longer able to do that. I do some work in the community retirement management area, and it's amazing the number of people that have now choices between homes for the aged, social housing, and or the private retirement homes. And they're growing exponentially in Ottawa. There's over 100 right now, and that's going to double or triple in the next few years because that whole demographic shift is happening.
Growing across the country.
Yeah.
All these.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess one of the things we're going to hear about in this campaign as well, I think, is the number of some of the government's efforts aimed at incentivizing seniors to stay in the workforce. And I guess, how does your organization view that? Is that a good idea? Or is it incentivizing seniors to stay in the workforce? Are seniors taking the government up on that because they want to or because they need to?
I think it's a bit of both. To be honest with you, there's a lot of seniors, certainly in my age group, that have a tremendous amount of experience, that still have the ability to go out and work, and certainly offer an awful lot of experience and direction to some of the younger crowd. We know for a fact in Brampton, we actually have senior work fairs because a lot of people want to go back to work. Right. So it's having that option and opportunity to go back to work if they can't. Ageism is really a big issue in a lot of places because, seniors sometimes are shunned in terms of, you've done your bit, maybe it's time for the younger crowd. All
right. So as we get into the campaign, then I guess the advice is check out the platforms. And will CARP come out at some point and endorse a party, or will it?
No, we are nonpartisan.
Yeah.
Obviously, our members will have an opportunity to make the choice of their own. One of the things we want to really indicate very strongly to the parties is seniors get out to vote. Mm-hmm. We know that 98% of our members vote, and we speak for 300, 400, or 500,000 people across Canada.
All right, Rick Baker, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Peter. It was welcome. Super.